with the NHL season fast approaching, I believe by the time we do the next podcast, I might have already started, or at least been starting in the next couple days. So to lead into that, there's an interesting article on The Score, ranking the NHL's 6 best lines. Now, we say it's an interesting article. Neither of us have read it. Thought it was an interesting concept. But it's not like we're not doing our research. We didn't read it for a reason. Because we want to both independently come up with our own ranking of the best lines in the league and eventually compare that to what The Score has. Now, I don't know how you want to do this, Simon. I'm a little bit scared to look at The Score because I don't know if they're going 6-1 or 1-6.
I'll scroll down. Okay. They went 6-1. We're good.
Okay, so we should
and
start at 6.
Already seeing their number 6, I don't like my own picks.
Okay.
Well,
let's see how this is.
Number 6 for The Score. I think that they have a different line combo for this team than I do, which is making me want to quickly take a peek at that. Because that is interesting to me. They actually do. So there's a chance that me and you, we're going to have very different picks to The Score, but at least we'll have the context. To be clear, on the website I'm using, which is cap friendly, the Tampa Bay Lightning have a starting first line of Steven Stamkos, Braden Point, and Nikita Kucherov.
I have that.
They have Hagel, Point, and Kucherov, and they have them in 6th.
Oh.
What's your thoughts on that?
Shouldn't have put food in my mouth right as I did that. Okay. Hagel, Point, and Kucherov. So yeah, I'm not judging it based off of the same metric at that point. Because I have the same thing that you do, which is Point, Kucherov, and Stamkos.
Yeah.
I don't know where they're getting that from.
To be clear, that's a pretty good sign. Me and you both have them a lot higher. To be clear.
Yeah.
It just occurred to me, do you have any honorable mentions? Maybe we should do that first, because I have a couple.
I do. Okay. I have three. I'll just list them off real quick.
Sure.
My 3 are the Ottawa Senators, which is Brady Tkachuk, Tim Stützle, and Claude Giroux, which I think is a really good line. I think Giroux brings it down a little bit, but just because of he's reaching the end of his career, he's not as good as he used to be, but it's still a very solid line, and even if Giroux's not what he used to be, he's still a solid player. I have the New Jersey Devils, looking at Tyler Toffoli, Jack Hughes, and Jesper Bratt. It's a line that we'll see how Toffoli fits in there, but if he's as good as he was in Calgary, this line could very well move up the list and potentially into the top 6. And then my last honorable mention, Homerism. Really? You think so? I don't know. Maybe it is. Maybe it isn't. I have the Calgary Flames with the top line of Huberdeau, Lindholm, and Mangiapane. Now, if they play like they did last year, this line isn't going to be... It's not going to be sniffing anywhere near. I almost put it in at 6, but I didn't.
Wow. I was not close.
If Huberdeau rebounds, Lindholm plays like he has been for the last few years, and Mangiapane continues to grow as a player, I think this line can be one of the best.
I think that is a prediction that I would probably be more comfortable making for the end of the season. Like I could see, and this is in a world.
Fair.
This is in a dream world. Work with me here. Huberdeau bounces back. He plays great. We see another 100-point Huberdeau season, right? Lindholm bounces back, plays great next to Huberdeau, and on that right wing side at that point in the season, Scoronado has moved up the lineup. That could be a top line.
You don't have faith in Mangiapane?
It's not that I don't have faith in Mangiapane. I just have a lot more faith in
Mangiapane.
I have a Mangiapane jersey. I love him as a player. I think that he would be really, really good for this team. I think that you really need to watch some Coronado tape from this preseason and realize the fact that...
I know.
Like, this guy that the Flames have is special. I think that he is going to be the next best scorer for the Flames, potentially. Maybe not this year, but in the future. When you have a shot like that with no NHL experience, you are going to have a very hard time convincing me that this guy isn't the future. And I think that he could be the future as close as maybe March, April. But is that going to happen? Would I be comfortable saying that right now? No.
Okay.
But we should. Can I give my honorable mentions?
Who's your honorable mentions?
Okay. Number 9, I decided to have fun with it as well. Not quite the Flames. I decided to live in a dream world as well. The Chicago Blackhawks. Imagine Taylor Hall returns to MVP glory.
I can't roll my eyes any further.
80 points.
I can't roll my eyes
80-point rookie season. Corey Perry bounces back.
Okay,
we see a little speckle of prime come back.
Okay. You're getting on me about my
Is it gonna happen?
Projecting too far into the future.
Absolutely not. But it would be so funny.
Oh, I don't know.
Shirt ball. I had to do it. It was too fun.
Yeah.
Realistically, a more realistic pick for number 9, I'd probably just throw Edmonton in there because I feel bad. They're not on my list. Oh, no, they are. Actually, that's a lie. They are number 8. I threw them on there not necessarily for their top line, but for the type of top line combinations that they probably will have by the end of the year. If you just think about it, they can make a very easy top line. If we're just talking Connor Brown, McDavid, and Evander Kane, they're not in my top 9. But I felt weird keeping them off their top 9 because their second line right now on Cap Friendly would be top 6. It's really weird over there in Edmonton. So, I don't know. I have them at 8. Yeah. At 7, I have Buffalo. Now,
okay.
To be fair, that is very, very carried by Tage Thompson and Skinner. I think currently on Cap Friendly they have newly drafted Zach Benson, I believe, playing with them, who I had a lot of excitement for coming out of this draft. I wanted the Flames to take him. Actually, he was my pick for who I wanted them to take. I think that if he plays in that role, the Buffalo Sabres will find success. But even if they choose not to go that direction, they have a lot of other wingers that they could easily slide in there. So I feel fairly confident by saying that Buffalo will have one of the best top lines this season. No matter who they slide in at right wing. If it's Zach Benson, I still have no issue with this pick. But if it's someone else, it's someone else. So we can move on to our actual number 6 because we just read. We're already 8 minutes in. We got to speed up. But, okay, your number 6.
Tampa. My number 6 is a line. This one is very much based on potential. Potential for the players, potential mostly to see how they gel together because there's one younger player. One player that's proven in this system, and then a player that just got added this offseason, who's a proven player, but we don't know how he's going to work in this system. Detroit. And that system is the Detroit Red Wings. Yeah. We're looking at a top line of DeBrincat, Larkin, and Lucas Raymond, and I think if that line hits their top potential, they can move even further up that list because that's an insane grouping of players. They are all very talented, but the reason they stick at number 6 as of right now is just because we don't know what it's going to look like. We know what Larkin is, we know what DeBrincat is, Raymond, we know he's
very good young player. Has a lot of potential.
A lot of potential, but I think I need to see a little bit more before I start calling him one of the better players in the league, obviously. And DeBrincat, you don't know how he's going to mesh. There's good players, and sometimes
we've seen DeBrincat struggle on better lines.
Yes, but I think with the potential that this line has, I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt and placing them in my top 6. Not quite all the way up yet, but I think they could be in the future.
They could be. With you saying that, I can now confidently say that I would swap Detroit and Chicago. Just to be clear. If anything, I think that Detroit is like an 8 or 9 with the potential to probably move into the top 5. That's where I'd probably slide him. So I have a little bit. I really like Tage Thompson as a player. I think he's great. I think Skinner still can be that good top line winger to complement that. And like I said, I'm high on Benson. And maybe that's just me being like, I like Buffalo as a team this year in general, so maybe I'm a little biased. I don't know. I like Buffalo more than Detroit. So we'll see what happens with that. But I would say, so for my number 6,
Yeah.
I have Ottawa.
Okay. So you have them higher than I do. Why do
Sorry.
you have
I was
Ottawa
answering your text.
as high as 6?
I have Ottawa at 6 because you said that you were not very high on Giroux, and that was a reason that you brought him down. I think we had this conversation when we went over Ottawa earlier this year. I still think that Giroux can be a top line winger. I don't necessarily think that he's obviously the worst player on that line, and it's not close. But I still think that he'll be elevated in that position enough that it won't matter. I think that it's going to be the type of situation where he's playing with 2 elite stars who are just young guys, just getting better. I think that they'll be a pretty good line just because of Stützle and Kachuk. So I have no issue sliding them in at 6. For a lot of the same reasons that I have Buffalo at 7, frankly. So if anything, I'd say it's just a better third player on that line. That's it, right? Like, we can move on. So, the score. Finally moving back to the article that started it all.
Yeah.
Wow, okay. I'm curious where you're going to have this line.
Pick?
Kind of surprise pick. Vegas.
Ooh, okay. They're not.
That's kind of spicy.
I won't tip my hand, but they're not that far off. That's their number 5.
That's their number 5.
Okay, I'll talk
do
about
not
them when
have.
I get there.
Yeah, I forgot quite a few teams when I was making my list.
Okay.
I think realistically they would probably pop right outside of the top 6 for me. I think they're very good. I think they're a very good line, and that's the tough thing when we're doing 6. Top 10 would be so much easier for this. But top 6 is really hard, and I really like this Vegas line.
It's hard to narrow it down.
I really like this Vegas
line.
line.
Narrow it down.
But it's...
And did they put... It's Barbashev, Eichel, Marchessault?
Yeah.
We'll get to that.
Okay.
We'll talk about that more a little bit later.
Okay, so clearly you have them higher. And the thing is, me and you both have a history with Barbashev, which we don't have to go into.
Yes.
And that's why I respect the pick. I respect it, but I don't necessarily think that they're that high. I think maybe in the playoffs, if this was a playoff first line, I'd be a lot more comfortable with this pick. Regular season, I'd have a bit more of an issue with it. We can move on though.
I can
number 5.
I can refute that, but I will later. All right, my number 5 is it's a line that has 2 genuine superstars on it, and then it has one guy who hasn't been in the league for a little while, and that's Colorado. I'm looking at that top line, and it's another potential thing.
Everyone. God, how did I forget Colorado? I hate my list. My list sucks. Do not agree with my list. How did I forget Colorado? Because you know what's funny? I was looking at that line and I was thinking to myself, that's top 4 for me. Because truthfully, I think it is. I think Druin bounces back. I think that in his first, because I liked him a lot, and now he's going to get the chance to play with McKinnon and Rantanen. As somebody who watches a team in the Western Conference, shoot me now. That is a good team.
I'm not nearly as high on Jonathan Drouin as you are, because I think
he'll be good enough.
That good right out of the box. Projecting him to be that good out of the box, I think, is a little bit absurd. Just because we haven't seen him in so long. And
yeah, but are you telling me that 50 points is absurd?
It wouldn't be because of him. It would be because of the line he's playing on.
I'm not saying it would be because of him. I'm saying that on a line like Colorado, we're turning into first take over here. On a line like Colorado, do you think that Jonathan Drouin could put up 50 points?
Okay, but that's not the point of the argument here. Do I think he could? Maybe. But, like, we're talking top 5 lines in the NHL right now. And I have to look, the rest of these lines are good holistically. All of the players on there are good and have been proven to be good recently. Jonathan Drouin has not. And as much faith as I have in McKinnon and Rantanen to carry him, I have to see more from Jonathan Drouin before I bump them up any more than I already have.
That's fair. That's fair. I don't know. I think that's a really good line. I think you could basically Rantanen and McKinnon are both so good at this sport of hockey that I think you could pretty much throw anyone in their top 6 on that line and you'll have no problem for me. And I think Drouin is, if he is a fraction of as good as he used to be, as a scorer, as a playmaker, as just being that kind of player, even like, if we see him return to any sort of potential, that will be a dangerous team. And I think that, I wouldn't be surprised if we see that this year. I think I'd be more surprised to see Drouin do worse than to see him do better. I'm not saying that I predict him to have a really, really good year, but I'm saying, I don't know, 25 goals, something like that. On a line like that, I don't think that's absurd. I really don't.
We'll see how the season goes. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see.
I think
Maybe
it's a
I'm
bit of a
completely
stretch
wrong.
at this point.
Okay, well, we can move on.
I think it's a bit of a stretch.
My number 5.
Who's your number 5?
I hate my thing now. I almost don't even think there's a point. But it's Florida. I have Florida. We talked about this beforehand.
Okay.
Because we had to have a bit of a conversation because Florida's line right now, line matchups are a little whack. And they currently have Tkachuk on a second line, which we both agreed is kind of weird. So we have decided that their top line realistically is probably Verhaeghe, Sam Bennett, Matthew Tkachuk. Realistically, right? Their top line pairing is probably that. So with that in mind, I have them at 5, sorry. Because I think that despite Sam Bennett probably being the least talented player on that line by quite a bit, I still think that I still like it. I like it. I like them as a team. I like that first line. Maybe I'm a little biased. I like Sam Bennett, despite him being the worst player on that line, but I think they're pretty good. I hate my fucking thing, but it's all right.
I disagree. I don't have them in my top 9.
Okay.
But I don't think I have to refute that too much based on how much you're already refuting your own pick.
I am. It's not necessarily that I disagree with them being as high as they are. I just think that there are more people. There are more people I would slot in above them. Like Colorado, yes. Who else did we already establish? That I missed. Detroit, Vegas. Yeah, I'd probably say Vegas above them, and then Detroit I'd probably slot right behind. So
Yeah.
I still stand by my top
right.
3, top 4. We'll see
Okay.
that.
I think our top 3 and 4 might be pretty similar.
Okay, so
Anyway, let's look.
moving
What is
into
the score have
top
at 4?
4. At 4, they have Toronto.
Oh, that's low. Okay.
You think that's low?
I'll save my. That is disrespectfully low.
You think so?
I will.
So
get into that more.
you clearly must be fairly high on Bertuzzi then, because that is the big conversation around this Toronto team. I actually like Bertuzzi as a player. I think he's going to mesh really well with Matthews and Marner. So I do still have them higher than this. I do not have them at 4. I have a different team at 4, but I don't.
I'd have to
disagree with having them at 4. I don't look at this and think it's...
I have to see who they have in front of them. I just don't... I cannot name 3 lines better.
Okay,
than them.
who do you have at 4?
I have Vegas at 4. So it was not that far off from what the score put. Some people may get on me about the whole putting the Avs line below. I do think it was a bit of a toss-up for me. But I just think... an unbalanced line of 2 superstars and one piece Simon thinks is going to be the next Gretzky, but the rest of us, I don't know.
I said 50 points. Name me one season Gretzky had 50 points. Look it up now.
anyways.
Gretzky can put up 50 points right now.
Okay. In his, like, 60s? He probably could. But looking at a team like Vegas, you say something that you said, like, if this was a playoff lines ranking, then you'd put them higher.
Yeah.
But I think that's very important to take into consideration. This line has been battle tested and won the Stanley Cup in obviously the toughest tournament in probably all of sports. I think they mesh really well together. Because I think line chemistry is really important to take into consideration, and this pairing has proven to work. Like, as soon as they snapped Barbashev onto that top line, say what you want about Barbashev as a player, but it works really well together. They all complemented each other really well. You've got Eichel as the star. Marchessault is amazing too. Barbashev is obviously the lowest piece on that line, but in terms of how they all play together and what they've done, because the NHL, obviously, as all sports are, it's a what have you done for me lately league, and this line just went and won the Stanley Cup. So I think having them at 4, I went back and forth with them, either 4 or 5, but I think them at 4 is not too much of a stretch.
I just saw who number 3 is, and I'm very excited. But
okay.
For number 4, for me, I had New Jersey, because I'm actually a lot higher on them, I think, than you
Okay.
are. I'm very high on Jack Hughes as a player. He has gotten a lot of people, very, very big people in this sport, saying that they think that he's one of the best players in the league, and I completely agree with them. I think that he's a very smart player. He has had a lot of success already. I could see him breaking out. Giving him a scorer like Toffoli and Jesper Bratt on either side, that's going to be good. That's going to be good. Are you ready? Your body is not ready for number 3. Get ready to be enraged.
Let's hear it.
And just to be clear, I'm going to...
It's Edmonton, isn't it? It's Edmonton.
So, the top line, or the top sentence for this is, this line features the best player on the planet. So, of course, it wound up in the podium on this ready. And to be clear, this is not them going, no, we'll put Hopkins on that line. No. Oh, no. They have different line pairings here. Okay, this one makes a little sense. Connor Brown is absolutely the weak point. But they switched Kane and Hyman. So it is McDavid, Hyman, Brown.
That's still disgusting.
Stupid high.
That's still disgusting.
That's still stupid
Connor
high.
Brown,
I thought that it was a Vander Kane, Connor Brown, McDavid. That would have been rough.
If we go back to Drouin again, take everything I said about Drouin and apply it 5 times more to Connor Brown.
Because the difference is Drouin had talent. Connor Brown had potential.
Yeah.
He never hit it. Connor Brown was never close.
This is the McDavid effect. Like, obviously, like,
you gotta realize. Can I just make a quick example? At best, Connor Brown this year turns into an Pat Maroon 2 when he was on the Oilers. Remember Pat Maroon? He had that 125 goal season. At best, that is what Connor Brown does next to McDavid. At best. This example is making it seem like Connor Brown is going to play as well as literally go back at number 4. Bertuzzi? Hell no.
Yeah, this is what I meant when I said, like, the Leafs ranking is disrespectful because they're gonna pull some shit like this.
Yeah.
What is it with all of the NHL outlets just sucking off McDavid? Obviously, like, he's the best player in the world. You can't, like, that has been proven again and again and again. But by placing this line, by just saying, the best player is on this line, so automatically it's in the top 3. That is just complete garbage and utter horseshit, because that upends the conceit of your entire list. Edmonton, again, did not place within my top 9, because obviously McDavid, as the point of any line, is the best. He's the best player in the league. He's the best player on the line. Unless you're surrounding him with other players, if you put him with Draisaitl like the Oilers have done before, probably instant top 3. But
Can
you're
I-
putting him with Connor Brown, which you already talked about.
Can I read
and
you their
Evander Kane,
arguments?
who's good but not that good.
Can I read you their argument? Because it's pretty wild. So, I'm just going to read this entire paragraph because it's worth reading. Rounding out this trio is the new addition Connor Brown, who is known for being a workhorse and has already been praised by McDavid as the perfect addition to the Oilers. They were line mates with the Erie Otters, yada, 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 and combined for 227 points in 2013-2014. Brown won't blow you... This is the part that I wanted to get to. Brown won't blow you away with his NHL point totals, but to be fair, neither did Hyman, whose previous career high was 41 points before moving out west. Brown and Hyman also have 4 seasons worth of experience playing together with their time on the Maple Leafs. To be clear, I want to fact check myself. What is Connor Brown's best season in the NHL?
I'm sure he's had one season where he did pretty decent.
I don't know. I don't think that's right. I don't think he's had anything.
Oh, that's a lot of stretching to suck some Oiler cock. Like, I'm. Editor Simon,
That is
you
a
can bleep that one
statement.
out.
Holy crap. Okay. To be fair, I was wrong and I will admit I was wrong. On the Senators in 2019-2020, he had 43 points in a season.
Cool.
The year before.
What have you done for me lately?
What have you done for me lately? The next season, the next 3 seasons, he had 35, 39, and then last year he had 0.
Well, yeah, because he was injured the whole year.
Yeah. 'Cause
So that's another thing you have to take into consideration.
For his career, he averages a little under 40 points a season. Probably closer to like 35.
Yeah.
Remember,
He'll probably match that just by virtue of playing with McDavid.
he'll
if he lasts
probably
that long.
hit 50
How
points.
long do you think it's going to last?
He'll
how long
hit
do you think
50
it's even
points if
gonna
he
last?
stays there. Well, if it's to keep McDavid happy as long as it takes.
Yeah. Well,
Okay,
I
we
feel
should
like
move
this
on
always
because me and
happens,
you can
though.
rant about this forever.
Yeah.
And you know it. Okay,
Wait until Drysdale
my
is
number
playing on the
3.
same line.
Did I say my
3
number
weeks of
3?
the
My
season.
number 3, Toronto.
Okay.
Which I think is respectable.
Okay.
Especially considering, I will say, my top 3 are interchangeable, I think. Without much issue.
Okay.
Because I
Okay.
think that, respectably, I wouldn't put Toronto number 1, though. I think Toronto,
I almost did.
you almost did? I believe it. Like, they are good. They're not number 1. We can
Yeah,
move on.
I don't. Well, I didn't say my number 3. I want to say
Oh,
my
did you
number
not?
3
Oh,
before
okay,
we
sorry.
move on.
Go ahead.
My number 3 is Dallas.
Wow.
I think Dallas is.
Okay.
I think Dallas is a really good line, and I think it takes that Vegas line that I talked about, playoff tested. Even though Dallas didn't make it all the way to the Stanley Cup, these players, especially a guy like Rupe Hintz, criminally underrated, and is a
I'm
consistent
gonna wait
playoff
to-
performer. This line, if you don't know, you're looking at Robertson, Hintz, and Pavelski. And for me, it comes down to you've got the star player, and then you've got 2 guys who have just like don't underrate. Pavelski is old, but don't underrate him, especially looking at what he did in the playoffs last year.
True.
This is a guy who can still hit the highs in terms of points. And the biggest thing for me with all of
I'm
this
very
is
excited
chemistry.
to talk about Dallas when we get there because I have them a little bit higher, and I think that they're a very, very interesting line going into this year. So, but they're really good. I think that I think we should wait to talk about them more. Just to be clear.
Yeah. Okay.
Let's do that.
Okay.
Okay, number 2. Well, speaking of talking about them later, Dallas.
Dallas on the score list. That's fair. That's fair. I have Toronto higher.
I
But
don't.
I am very interested to see who the score has at number 1. I am very curious.
So my number 2, I'm not letting you see it yet. Gotta hold your horses.
Okay.
Is Tampa. I have Tampa
Okay.
at number 2 because solely, if you can look me dead in the eyes and tell me that Steven Stamkos, Braden Point, and Kucherov is still not one of the stupidest lines you would have ever heard of, you are dumb. You are straight stupid.
Yeah.
That is a stupid line. That line should not exist, and it has existed for the last 6 years. And
It's insane. It's
occasionally
insane.
people forget that. Do you remember when that line first became a thing, and they won 2 cups in a row? Yeah,
Yeah.
that line still
Can't
exists.
overrate that.
That line still exists. It's still there. I think that they are very easily number one. I think that on my list, honestly, I have no issue putting them number one. My number one I reserved for a different line solely because I think that they work better together. But overall, on paper, this line is number one. And you cannot argue with me because you are wrong. Tampa, on paper, has the best line in hockey.
Okay. At my number 2, I have a team that we've already talked about a couple times, and that's Toronto.
Okay.
I think, again, we've talked about Toronto a lot already, so we don't have to go on it too much, but I think they were interchangeable with my number 1 team, which if you followed along, you can probably guess what it is. But I think they're pretty interchangeable. I think there's a pretty clear, I can agree. You said your top 3 is interchangeable. I can kind of agree with that because I think I'm pretty sure we have the same top 3, just in a different order.
I think so, yeah.
But I think Toronto, I'm just looking at the overall talent. We'll see how Bertuzzi incorporates into that line, but Matthews and Marner has been one of the best pairings of the last however many years they've been in the league together. And you can't deny that. And Bertuzzi is a very talented player in his own right. So I think having them at 2 is completely fair. I think having them as low as the score did is what's a little bit disrespectful. 3 is also fair, too.
Yeah. Well, I think that... So do you want to... Okay. So they're number
Who does
1.
the score have? I'm so curious.
You're so
because
curious? Do you have a
all of the
guess?
line-
Do you have a guess?
So, okay.
After
okay.
everything that
Let
we've
me-
gone over, who do you have a guess? No peeking.
So, okay. So what I think it will be, because they've already mentioned my top 3, because
Yeah.
they mentioned Tampa too low, because they put in Hagel, whatever. We're judging based on different things, I guess.
Yeah.
They've already had Toronto, they've already had Dallas. I am completely lost at this point. My best guess is Colorado, because I genuinely do not see any other team being that high.
This is a terrible list.
Who do they have at number 1?
Who do you think? It's
Did they
Colorado.
put Edmonton again? Okay, it's Colorado. Okay.
Oh, that'd be pretty wild. They put the second line for Edmonton on
Second
number
line,
1.
I
That
would just
be a...
lose. I would walk out of the podcast. I am done at that.
I should have said that. That would have been way funnier.
I'm not even gonna talk about my
So,
number 1. I'm just leaving.
we don't need to rant about this for too long because we can both agree that it's absolutely ridiculous. I am
That's
very
insane.
high.
This is a terrible list.
I am very high on Jonathan Drouin. By making this suggestion, let's even just compare it to their number 2. Let's look at it like this: Robertson, Hintz, Pavelski. Right? At the worst, Pavelski gets 75 points. Right? We can both agree on that. And he ends up getting the lowest amount of points on that line. Are you going to look me dead in the eyes and tell me that Drouin matches that?
No.
Because that is what... Let's read it out a little bit.
Yeah,
I'm going
what
to
did they
just
say?
So, do you want me to just... Are we just reading articles here? Welcome to the reading podcast. Along with the Oilers, the Colorado Avalanche were the only team to boast multiple 100-point getters in 2022-2023. Both of them are on this line. Nathan MacKinnon hit the century mark for the first time in his career last season, despite missing 11 games. Mikko Rantanen posted the first 50-goal season in franchise history, yada, yada, yada. You know how good they are. Any line that has both MacKinnon and Rantanen has a shot for number 1. Fair. On this list. It doesn't really matter who's with them. Slight disagree, but fair.
That's not true.
Lehkonen took the most reps alongside them last year, but we're giving... What the fuck? Okay, Jonathan... This is a weirdly worded article. They're giving the crack to Jonathan Drouin. He was teammates with MacKinnon, and on the Halifax Mooseheads. Did you know that?
Oh man.
How many times have you heard that?
Man.
I bet you didn't know that fact. It's not like we hear it every
This is-
fucking day.
Man, they really love their
Did you know?
reunited CHL lines.
I know, it's insane. Did you know they won the Memorial Cup? Because I sure didn't.
Whoa, that's
Golly
wild.
gee.
That's
It's almost
wild.
like that's the entire reason that Druin keeps getting chances in the NHL. Because of how insane he was in the CHL. Druin's NHL career hasn't panned out as well as McKinnon's, but he was in need of a fresh start after a rough stint in Montreal. There's no guarantee their reunion works, but wouldn't it be cool if it did?
Man, I love when journalism ends with "Wouldn't it be cool if this happened?"
So
This is peak sports journalism.
imagine with the World Series. We just did a baseball prediction, right? Imagine if I hit you with the fact that I think the Blue Jays are going to win the World Series. They're going to make a comeback against the Twins, all that. And keep in mind, this is after they went out. This is after they went out. Like, we knew at that point that they were out. So keep that in mind. Imagine if
Wouldn't
I
it
made
be
the argument,
cool?
wouldn't it be cool if they did? There's no guarantee that the Blue Jays win the World Series. But wouldn't it be cool if they did?
I mean, wouldn't it be cool if Seattle won their last 3 games and took that number 2 slot away from the Astros? I don't know if it would happen, but wouldn't it be cool?
Hey, Caleb, there's no guarantee that Joe Rogan gives the Trick Play podcast a shout out. But wouldn't it be cool if it
Wouldn't
did?
it be cool? It would be so cool.
Yeah. Wouldn't it be cool if it did? God, you don't have to
God.
you don't have to know that subscribing to this podcast will work out. But wouldn't it be cool if it did?
Wouldn't it be cool? Wouldn't it be cool? Oh my god, this list sucks.
Oh, that was
I don't even know
terrible.
if I need. I don't even
Worst
know if I
Trick
need
Play
to say my number
segment
1.
ever.
Yeah.
Holy crap.
My
Don't watch
god.
this anymore.
My number one's fucking Tampa, but like
Yeah.
you knew that.
Yeah.
It's that at least
We
I,
already
like,
talked
have
about this.
some
Best
brains.
on paper,
Yours
yada
is
yada yada.
Dallas.
Yeah,
Yours
mine's
is Dallas. That makes sense. At
I
least we didn't choose
line
Colorado.
up, line up, fucking their chemistry is insane. They literally are the best line in hockey. Like on
Yeah,
ice, they're
I
the
put-
best line in hockey. On paper, I agree with you, Tampa.
Yeah, I put Tampa just because of the extra skill, but I'm not going to be upset putting Dallas at number 1.
Yep. Okay. Well, we can move on.